We do hotel-motel interdiction, and we've turned out very good cases out of that. We trained up the hotel-motel owners and staff as to behavior signs that are consistent with drug traffickers. We train them on drug identification and recognition. You're going to be surprised. You will solve thefts. You will solve burglaries. You will solve burglary of motor vehicles. Different detective divisions, they meet every single month and they share information. Specialized drug units meet every month, share information. Do patrol divisions do that? No, but you can. And we've done it here.
72 grams of heroin, $21,000 worth. Doesn't look like much, does it?
If someone walks through this police department door and says, I'm a drug addict and I need help, I have to be knowledgeable enough about the treatment available that I can plug this person into a treatment service.
I have no veins. At any time or another, when I have to even have a blood test drawn, they have problems doing that.
Methadone clinics are the most highly regulated drug treatment intervention in the world. Our primary mission is to treat people with long-term chronic opioid dependency, opiate dependency. Usually it has been traditionally heroin, although now many people come who are primarily using narcotic painkillers that doctors have prescribed and have been diverted. Our number one priority is to get the patient to stop using street opiates. And the reason that that's our number one priority is because the personal and public health costs of a person continuing to use opiates are extremely high. 80% of the people that we're treating in our program use drugs intravenously. They shoot them up. When you do that, it creates a tremendous number of medical problems, things like HIV and hepatitis C. There's also high risks of overdose.
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. We think HIV is a problem. Hepatitis C amongst injection drug users, when they get done with all of the studies that they're doing, I think is absolutely going to boggle people's minds.
So a lot of the focus for many methadone programs is really trying to prevent serious medical consequences that are related to the ongoing opiate use of the person that they're treating. And the way that we do that is to use a medication like methadone that allows the person to kind of leave that drug usage and enter into a healthier and less risky lifestyle. Methadone works in exactly the same way. It's a replacement for a neurochemical, a chemical that you need in your brain in order to function normally. And that's why it works the way that it works. That's why we use it for what we call replacement therapy. That's the technical term for methadone treatment. The way that I really think about it is that it's very similar to someone if they're diabetic. If you're diabetic, your pancreas isn't functioning normally, your blood sugar isn't regulated appropriately, and so you're sick, you can die from that. The reason that methadone is not just trading one drug for another is because methadone is an entirely synthetic narcotic. I would say that our approach is a very comprehensive one in many respects. We tend to look at opiate addiction as a psychiatric disorder, that it's chronic, meaning that it lasts over the lifespan of the person once they've used opiates for 6 months to a year and had this neurochemical change. I think one of the things that people don't understand is methadone is not a drug treatment. Methadone is a medication for a physiological disorder that you have that was caused by opiate usage. Methadone by itself will help re-regulate your brain chemistry, and it may allow you some degree of relief from the problems that you had before. But it won't take care of every problem that you have. It's not a magic bullet. All the other things that you do, like individual counseling, occupational rehabilitation, nutritional counseling, learning how to re-regulate your sleep, all these things that we work on with people, those are drug treatment. That's what really matters in terms of having good long-term outcomes with people. Overall, though, I think the thing that we really focus on that may be different in our program than it is in some is what I would call functionality. How functional is the person after they've been in treatment with us for 6 months as compared to when they enter treatment with us?
Out of all the addictions that I had, I finally stopped doing heroin. I went to methadone, and
it's very difficult to get off methadone. And I would say, kind of roundabout way I'm getting at, the limitation, I think one of the limitations of methadone is that once you're using it as a medication to stabilize on, it takes a long time to come off it in a way that doesn't risk relapse for you. And that's just the nature of it's just the chemical nature of the drug. It's not something you can go off of quickly. It has to be done very slowly. And I think that's a very big frustration for many patients and many family members.
When I came off methadone, I was on methadone for almost 3 years. It took me 6 months to be able to just really sleep or eat normally, not have the chills, and think straight. It was 6 months before I felt any kind of normal.
You know, in the United States, there's about 250,000 methadone treatment slots, so to speak, people in methadone treatment. And all those programs are pretty much at capacity. We're not keeping pace with the number of people who are asking us for help.
The philosophy of the drug court program reflects the fact that the addicted defendant is different than the person who's simply a career criminal. And we discovered traditionally in the past that the typical sanctions we have in the state of Maine, including sentences of probation, standard supervised probation, weren't getting the job done. So what we've tried to do is identify those individuals who have some insight into their addiction, whose criminal acts are not suggestive of really sort of being a career type of a criminal, giving them opportunity to just warp ahead in their recovery, make some important changes in their lives, take themselves out of the criminal sphere, and by doing so avoid filling the jails and the usual sanctions involved with criminal offenses.
To be blunt, you know, heroin addicts are not everybody's favorite poster child. They're often highly stigmatized people who have what I believe to be a serious physiological disorder, and a lot of the behaviors that make people angry and unhappy with heroin addicts they're not chosen behaviors, they're not volitional, right? They do this because of a psychiatric disorder that they have.
I am just scared out of my wits just looking at it.
10, 12 years ago, it was a shocking thing to have a heroin case on the docket. It made the news. It was a big deal. Now they're absolutely routine. I think we're having better understanding as a society as to what this particular class of drugs is doing to us from a criminal point of view. We tell our folks when they enter the drug court program that before they graduate, they have to make their way to recovery. That's the central piece. They need to have employment in the mainstream employment field. They need to have independent housing, not relying on someone else for their housing. They have to have stable relationships. They basically have to be functioning members of society.
If we put our extra resources and our extra attention toward the addicts and toward those who are committing all these crimes, and we tackle the drug issue, we're going to be able to solve our crimes because we're going to know or have a good idea who's committing them, and we're going to drive the crime out of our community.
As a judge, when I see people come before me in criminal cases, I keep professional distance. The problem with drug court is we drop that distance. I call all these people by their first names. I speak informally. I know what's going on with their lives. It's a real emotional roller coaster ride for the judge, which is not typically the way it works in general court. Traditionally, when addicts were arrested and brought in the criminal justice system, they're put in the jail. There typically is no effort to detox them in any sort of therapeutic setting. They pretty much went cold turkey. And of course, while all that was happening, the only thing you could think of was getting back on the drug again to get those terrible feelings away. It's a very strange dynamic that takes place in drug court. It's almost as though Judge Murray and I become parent figures. The case manager becomes an older brother or sister. And then the law enforcement people, the people on the team, become extended family. And I find myself being very parental.
You have to completely put all of that aside and make a choice. You know, those people have to go. And you need to either find new people or none at all until you're ready. When
people graduate, when they make it through the program, they've made it to recovery. And we have a court session and family members are present in the courtroom and there are, hugs and tears and everybody's happy. And we get stories from spouses and parents and siblings about the fact that they thought this person was going to be dead. Everyone in our program says, I wish I never did it in the first place. They understand.
Because of the choices I made by accepting drugs in my life and doing drugs and being an addict and becoming a felon, I lost a wonderful job. I've been turned down jobs, and I've not been able to get employment because of choices that I made.
I first dealt with Sharon on a professional basis back in 1997. And What I saw was a lifetime pattern of abuse, use. And to see where Sharon is another success story. Sharon has greater obstacles ahead of her than Lindsay. Nobody hires felons. How can they get a job? How can they live? Have we made it a winnable situation for them, or have we created a losable situation in which they're going to be more likely than not to go back to their old ways?
It's different now. I'm really glad it's over. I wouldn't change anything that I've done because I learned a lot.
Sharon's state of being, her state of mind, how she views herself, how she views her life and her past mistakes is truly extraordinary.
We're people. I had an officer give me a chance. And became my friend. And that makes a big difference. I wasn't just a junkie. I was a person. And I don't think that I would have, still today been wanting to work so hard at what I'm doing now if I hadn't have had that kind of friendship with this person and with the people that I had experiences with in the police department, because they did treat me like a human being.
You want your officers to be aggressive enough with the drug problem, but in the same token, we can't lose sight of the fact that these people are human beings. They're human beings that are suffering.
I am now diagnosed with HIV since 91. It's going on 9 years. How I got it was through using somebody else's needle. When I found out, the first thing I thought to myself was I wanted to kill myself. And my kids came flashing into my head, and I couldn't.
They're human beings that are, yes, they're victims of their own choices. They're victims of choices that they made.
You're back from the dead, sir.
But currently, when you deal with them,
You want to just sit there for a minute? Yeah, my throat isn't, it's hurting.
their life is out of control. It is spiraled downhill and down so far that they don't know which way is up.
After all the damage I did to myself, I never in a million years would have thought I would make it that far.
Where Lindsay is today and where Lindsay was a year and a half ago is unbelievable. She is just short of a miracle. I didn't expect her to live.
I really believe that today in my program, honesty is the biggest key to recovery. Without honesty, you have nothing. Without my honesty in my life today, I have nothing.
Being a mother is the most rewarding, the most painful, the most up, the most down, the most thankless, and the most gratifying job that I will ever do in my entire life.
Shelley, as a parent, I truly feel for what she has gone through. Her story has been a painful one. It looks like there could be a decent ending to this, but you just can't describe the pain and torment that a parent would go through.
You have to ask them the questions about what they're doing and what they know and who they know, and be educated yourself, get as much information as you possibly can.
The other thing that you can look for is different types of paraphernalia, spoons that are bent that have burnt marks underneath them, and some type of powder residue inside the actual bowl portion of the spoon. The housings of pens that have been cut in half, razor blades, plates that have a powder residue on them, mirrors that have a powder residue on them, or even needles. They hide their track marks. It may be in the sweltering summer heat, and you may see somebody who's very emaciated and pale, thin. Their eyes may appear very droopy, and basically like they're on death's doorstep, and they'll have a long-sleeve shirt on.
Educate yourself. Get on the internet. Go to the library. Go to the police station. Go to whatever resource you're comfortable with and educate yourself.
Talk to your kids. I was never talked to. My parents never talked to me about drugs. It was just assumed that I knew, and I didn't. And look for the signs. There are signs. There really are. You know, you start straying away from your really good friends, your grades go down, you start skipping school. And don't think that you're acting too extreme, because you never are. You're better safe than sorry.
Know who your kids hang around with. Know them personally. Know where they're going, where they're at, what they drive, what they wear, what they smell like when they come home. You know, any kind of relationship that you can have with them, even if they don't think you're cool, you know, spend time with them anyway.
Understand the addict. Understand what it's like to be an addict.
Living in a circle of fire.
If the jail system hadn't taken me off the street, I probably would be dead today.
Talk to an addict. Feel compassion for them. But it doesn't mean that we're weak on the drug stance.
This disease is incurable, progressive, and fatal. If it's not arrested, it gets worse until you die.
Oh, I would say to any parent that's going through this, you did nothing wrong. We can teach them, we can show them, we can guide them. The hardest part of parenting, but probably the most crucial part, is that at some point these kids have to be made responsible for their own choices.
If I have to make sure nobody comes through my door and, you know, totally block those people out and start a whole new life, that's what I'll do. But after you see this addiction, you know, go generation to generation, you have to stop it. I had to.
I honor her for her experiences, for the things that she's suffered, for overcoming, for continuing to overcome.
I would be devastated if my daughter ended up like me.
Well, after having met a lot of folks who've used heroin, people who treat it, the word just strikes a chord of fear in my heart.
There has to be hope. There has to be programs where people feel comfortable with everyone in the program.
It's not a law enforcement problem. It's a human problem.
These people are sick, and that these people are not having a good time, and that they get locked into a lifestyle that they cannot undo.
As long as there are people out there who don't understand the profound danger, we can't win the war.
People are dropping like flies around here now. I mean, every time you turn on the news, somebody's dying. I think it's important to hang in there with that person to the best of your ability and at least emotionally support them and continue to encourage them to enter treatment even if they've had numerous treatment failures. They do better at the 6th treatment than they do at the first one.
Hope and laughter are essential, and no blaming. No blaming. Choices and accountability.
If you did every drug in the room and could still walk out, you were cool. And that's still true today for kids. It took me to my knees. It let me see that it could too happen to me. I said it cannot, and it could too, and it did. If you want to go through the hell that I went through, be my guest. You may not survive.
I've seen people pull out of clubs foaming at the mouth, ODing on the street corner, you know?
Yeah, if we had to go out, we were trying to target some dealers, yeah, we would go to a club where they're raving. Yeah, that's a given.
When I walked in the bedroom, I knew damn well you did.
Don't believe a word your child is telling you. Ever.
Yeah, they sell drugs anywhere. I mean, we got complaints where they sell it at fast food restaurants, car washes.
How much is it?
He said 140 for one. My girl don't speak Spanish.
Get ready.
You know, they say recovery is a journey, it's not a destination. And I hold very closely to that.
I like who I am and where I am today.
Sometimes when we talk about tough love, don't be afraid to take an addict to jail. They may have talked to you. They may have shared their life story with you.
DA with search warrant!
Don't be afraid to take an addict to jail, because if the addict is in jail, a day of sobriety is a win. 10 days of sobriety is a win.
Absolutely. Because it's going to keep some kids and it's going to keep people off the streets. And there's not going to be disease passed around, and the desperation's not there anymore.
But it's very important also to remember that as far into the disease as you get, you have to come back that far into recovery.
Take your wins wherever you can.
just hanging on the court playing b-ball when these drugged up bugs came out from behind the wall. They said,
"You're no good. We're the best in this neighborhood."
With no delay, the game got underway. The drugged up bugs were too high to play. They couldn't even hold a ball. Couldn't pass, couldn't shoot, couldn't score at all. Couldn't find the paint. In school they thought they was cool, but now they ain't. That's the buzzer. Time to quit. Home B's 100. Drug bug zip. The lesson here is so plain to see. Drug free is the way to be.
Who cares about some stupid birthday party?
Who cares?
So what?
You'll never forget the people you hurt when you were high.
You can take a shot, take a turn, take a spin, take a look at him. Don't take drugs. You can take a walk, take a leap, take a slide, take a ride.
So don't take drugs.
Your brain gets dizzy, your body goes numb. So if you take drugs, well, that's just dumb. You wanna be strong, you wanna live long.
Don't take drugs.
Don't take drugs. Don't take them.
It is my opinion that the death of Daniel C. Hurd is due to acute drug intoxication. The only drug present in her system was ecstasy.